2 tips for buying properties at auction coming up. Hi everyone, this is Ernesto from AttaBoyCowBoy, and on this channel we give you health and wealth tips to help you be more successful. Now, I've been shopping lately for properties at auctions with myself and some of my clients, and it's a really interesting way to buy properties, and I'm going to share with you 2 things that I've learned 2 tips to help you be more successful. So there's basically 2 stages. One is the shopping phase, and the second is the buying phase, and I'm going to go over briefly what those are. So when you're doing the buying phase, wherever you live, you can go to your county tax assessor, and they have lists of, here in LA, it's tens of thousands of properties, buildings, land, everything that are available for sale. And a lot of times people will default on properties, or they owe a lot of property taxes to the state, so they'll lose the property to the state, or someone passes away, the property will go to the state, so they have to sell it. So they'll sell all these properties at auction to try to recover money to pay debts, pay taxes, whatever the case might be. Sometimes they have to split it up to pay it to family members that might have been left behind. If you don't have a will, in some states the state will sell your property and then divide up the revenue amongst the people that are living that may contest, the property. They may want a piece of it. So there's a lot of things that can happen. But anyway, there's a lot of properties for sale, and there's 2 phases. First one is buying. So go to your county tax assessor, or you can actually even go to auction.com, and you can look on these sites and you can see what types of properties are available. There's actually several other sites you can find. If you Google it, you'll find multiple sites for buying properties at auction. And the main thing is that, when you're buying a traditional home, you have to get all your financing in order beforehand, and you're competing with a lot of people. The auctions, it's kind of cool because you're not competing with that many people. You actually have to have cash. A lot of these auctions, when you close, if you win a property, you have to pay within like 15 days, 30 days, depends on the auction, but it's usually pretty fast. So if you don't have the cash, you can get a hard money loan. They're called hard money lenders. It's still like a regular lender, but they just basically charge you extra percentage points, like maybe 3 to 5% higher, which is still a good investment because a lot of times you'll get these properties below market value. So in the buying phase, you go to one of these websites or the county assessor, you look for property, you look for some that are in an area that you like maybe, you drive by, you check them out, and then you do a title search. Title search is going to tell you if there's any liens on it, any claims, any occupants, anything like that on the property. Because what you don't want to do is buy a property for, let's say, $100,000, but then there's like $50,000 owed in taxes. You're gonna have to pay that. So you want to make sure all those kinds of things are resolved before you buy it, or at least you take it into the calculation when you're buying it, so you can pay off those debts or whatever might be. Sometimes there's people that have claims on the property, like mechanics liens, like other contractors or people that were owed money by the old owner. They'll put claims on the property, liens. So a lot of those things you want to make sure that they're settled beforehand, and definitely right when you're gonna buy the property or right after, buy title insurance, so that if there's a title search and there's nothing showing up, but someone comes up later on and says, hey, I'm owed this money from whatever construction I did or taxes or whatever, the title insurance will cover that for you. So it kind of gives you some protection. So let me show you a video here of a property that I went to go look at that I found for about $20,000, and it was actually worth about $250,000. So I thought it was a pretty good deal. Let me show this to you. Okay, so here's this house. It's a really good price, but it doesn't have a roof on it. And it doesn't look like there's any windows either. And unfortunately, there's a lot of trucks around here. So there's like a storage yard here for semi-trucks. So you can hear all the engines going and stuff. And right next to it, there's more semi-trucks. Now, it doesn't look like much, but these are the properties where you can make a lot of money. See, this electrical is obviously not up to code. The whole house looks pretty bad. It looks like it was probably burned. Somebody probably bailed on it. And then it looks like there's, I don't know if it's abandoned or there's people living in the back. It's not good. There's a freeway here. It does have a nice pool you can fix up, but remember that pools don't add property value. Pools are actually a liability because people can get hurt on them. They can drown, they can fall, they can slip to the water. So actually, pools typically make the property values go down. And they actually end up costing you more money, like for insurance purposes. So as you can see here, this house is in pretty bad shape. But the price is pretty good. If you're willing to do a little work, it's actually worth it. But okay, so as you can see, this is a pretty extreme example, but I want to give you an idea of some of the properties you can find. Like this property was actually a really good investment because it was really inexpensive, but it did have a lot of damage and it did require a lot of work. So, but again, it can give you a benefit because, like I said, it was worth about $20,000 they were selling at, and it was worth about $250,000. I estimated the repair costs at about $50,000. So you could have easily made over $100,000 on this property. So that leads me to part two, the buying phase. Now, let me show you an example here of what it's like when you actually go to a physical auction. Now, some of these are online, which is great, but some of them they're in person where you actually go to the property. So let me show you this video here.
450,000. Oh, here we go. 453. 453 bids 455,000. Thank you very much. A 455 bid by number 455,000 bid by number 453. Looking for 460,000 as my next bid. Yes, 451. 451 bids 460,000. Thank you very much. 460 is bid. We'll get 465,000. 465,000 will be my next bid. Look very comfortable on the garbage can there, but I want to give you a chance. Don't fall asleep on me. Now 460,000 bid by number 451. Once. I have 460,000 twice. 453. 453 bids 465,000. 465,000 is bid. Looking for 470,000 as my next bid. 465,000 bid by number 453. Looking for 470,000 as my next bid. It's good property, folks. This is the time to make the bid. I've got 465,000 bid by number 453. Once. I have 465,000 twice. Last and final call. Sold, subject to the estate's acceptance, to number 453 for $465,000. Thank you very much for attending another Plans to Win auction. Thank you for the applause. We'll see you at the next one.
Okay, so as you can see at this auction, there were a lot of people here. This property was in a prime location in Echo Park or Silver Lake. It's close to Dodger Stadium, downtown Los Angeles. The listing price was about $250, ended up selling at $475. I would say there was about 60 people that showed up for this auction, and most of us, including myself, were just kind of hanging out because we were thinking, oh, we want this property for $250,000, even though it's worth about $350. And that's what I wanted to explain is when you go to these auctions, there's a lot of people. So don't let your emotions get the most of you. You know what I mean? Because this person that bought it at $475 overpaid quite a bit. It was probably worth about $350. So they paid over $100,000 extra for the property. And that's what happens. Sometimes when you go to these auctions, if you're a rookie, your emotions get the most of you. You're at the auction, you see everybody bidding, you get excited, you don't want to lose, and you start going much higher than you actually would have. So that can put you in a bad situation. So make sure before you go to the auction, price the property out, see what it's worth, an actual market value, and see what you're willing to pay and what you can afford. And don't go beyond that, because otherwise you're going to be in a bad situation. Like I said, there's a lot of these properties. So, get some practice, go to a few of them, check them out. It's quite interesting. And you'll meet a lot of really cool people. When I go to these auctions, I talk to other investors. And they're really nice. Like, remember, this is a different kind of investor. These are people that are pretty sophisticated real estate investors. So they'll share with me tips. They'll tell me about like where they're looking, what areas, this and that. And I've learned some really interesting things there. So I really I recommend auctions if you haven't checked them out as an option for buying yourself your first home or any investment property you might be looking for. You can get some really good deals. This particular auction had a lot of people, but oftentimes nobody shows up or very little, especially if it's somewhere like in the suburbs. You can get some really good deals. So, all right, well, thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please comment below. Thank you. Bye-bye.